To everyone tuned in. We have, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our famous people in the building.
Hey, hello, family. This is Linda Wills, the great record promoter, reigning from Washington, D.C., and I'm here to interview with you all tonight on the Momie show.
All right. That is what I'm talking about. Now, you have a book that you just wrote. You want to talk about that?
Well, the name of my book is called The Great Record Promoter Behind the Scenes in the Music Industry. So what I'm talking about is record promotions, how records get played on the radio. That's one segment of the record industry that a lot of people don't know about, is exactly how records get added to the playlist at radio stations. So this is what my book is about. So I've worked with a lot of entertainers over the years as their promotion rep, working radio in the Mid-Atlantic region, like from Philadelphia, D.C., New York, Baltimore, going into the different radio stations, sitting down, having conversations with program directors, music directors, taking artists to the radio stations, helping the artists to get informed and formulate a relationship with the program directors and music directors, because in order for a record to really become a successful record, you really have to try to get mainstream radio, and that's basically what a record promoter does.
All right, so my thing is to let everybody know on my part, people, you have got to read the book. Now, you want to let them know where the book is available at before we go any further?
Sure, you can buy the book on Amazon. You can buy the book at Xlibris, Xlibris. That's my publishing company. You can buy it online from Barnes and Nobles. You can Google it and find other places where you can purchase the book. But if you're really interested in the record business, then you can read my book, because it will give you some detailed information about the record industry, things that you may not have known about if you're interested in the business.
And that's a fact right there. And I read your book, and let me tell you, I could not put it down. And I said, please, let's find Miss Will so we can get her on the show, because something like this, and we have up and coming indie artists that listen to the show, we really need someone like you to come on and, give them a little lesson or two.
Of course. Each one teach one.
That's right. I believe in that as well. So I have a question for you, if you are ready.
I'm ready. Okay. I'm always ready.
Okay. Was there ever a moment in time that you wanted to quit?
It was. I was working for, I'm going to go ahead and shout him out. I was working for Luke.
Uh-oh.
Luke had his own record company called Luke Records. And Luke was the type of manager who would just approach you in a way that did not make you feel good. See, one thing about the record industry, it is so important that a record promoter get the record company's record added to the playlist at the radio station. That's your major job right there. And if it didn't seem like you could get that job done, then a lot of the national promotion people would just curse you out on the phone. I mean, it would be like devastating. So Luke was the type that, if you didn't have tough skin, you just could not hang with Luke. You just could not work with Luke, because Luke was just going to bring it, because that's just his nature. So it just got to a point where, for me, I'm like, enough is enough, because I have a lot of experience in the record industry, and I have high self-esteem. I don't have low self-esteem. So I felt that, maybe we should just part ways. He would continue to do his thing and be the successful record company owner that he was, and artist. And so, I just quit the company. That right there, it was a little bit, for me, it was over the top.
Okay. Now, my next question to you is, in your opinion, how has the art of being a promoter changed?
Well, it has changed because it was our job to take the actual record, CD, tape, whatever physical form that music came in, take it to the radio stations and sit down and present it to to the program director and the music director. So that's how they got the music. They got it from us because we brought the music to the station. But nowadays, since the internet came into existence, you can just send that song as an MP3, over the internet straight to the program director's computer. So with that new technology, it just sliced and just diced a lot of the promotion positions that we had, because they had a local promotion person, you worked the local market, you had somebody regional that worked about 3 or 4 markets, then you had a national person that was over everybody, over all of the markets. So the new way of getting the records to the radio station had changed. But with that, you still need somebody to be able to call the station and talk to the programmer. So in one way, it changed the game, but in the other way, it kind of like stayed the same in certain areas.
Okay, so my next question to you is, how did it feel when one of your artists' records went gold for the first time?
It felt amazing, because if I was working anybody's product and that product went gold, 9 out of 10, the company that I was working for, the distributor, because we distributed for all the small labels, will get a gold record to put on the wall, at the company. But when I was working independent on my own, I got a couple gold records myself, so I'm glad you asked that question.
Right.
I have a gold record for Working Salt and Pepper CD, Hot, Cold, and Vicious. It's got my name on it.
All right.
To commemorate the sale of over 500,000 copies that were sold.
Okay.
Like a million seller, basically. Then I got another gold record for working with EPMD when they did Strictly Business. Okay. So it was amazing when one of the records went gold, because I, in return, was awarded a trophy, and that was a gold record with my name written on it.
Wow. And that's also, some of those pictures are on your website as well, that the people can visit.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, so I got another question for you. If you could step back into the ring again and do more PR work, do you think that you can handle it better now than you did back then, since you have grown in the business?
Well, I wouldn't really approach record promotions anymore.
All right.
Because, like I said, you can send it into the stations through the internet. You can do that. What I would concentrate more on would be management, because I do have a small company called Wheels Entertainment, where I act as a personal business manager for certain artists. And I also have like a publishing company. So if you have a record, you need to have that song published in order for you to get royalties, for that particular record. The copyright the record is one thing, but the publish is another thing. So I guess I would actually just get more into the publishing aspect of the record industry.
Okay, I like that. Now, in your book, you go into in depth about your life, your growing up, and certain jobs that you had. What took to me was that the fact that when you was working like for the government, you had certain positions that you held, that you were working for first time African Americans to hold certain offices. You going to touch on that?
Well, sure. Before I started in the record industry, I was working at the Federal Communications Commission. The Federal Communications Commission, they're in charge of all of the radio and television and cable information that goes out into the public. They regulate those particular entities. So I had the opportunity to work on a detail for Commissioner Benjamin J. Hooks. He was the first black African American commissioner to work for the Federal Communications Commission. And when he left there, he was the president of the NAACP, and he was from Memphis, Tennessee, and I got an opportunity to work for him. And that was amazing.
Wow. And I have a question coming in through the chat box from Kenny Ng. His question is, what is the most common mistakes that artists do?
The most common mistakes that artists do is they think that the record companies owe them so much money, and they don't really know the business. It's called the record business because it is a business. Because you are an artist or an entertainer, you're just a small segment of the business. So artists really need to learn about what the responsibility is as far as they are concerned, to the record company and what the record company's responsibility is. To the artists, they need to know about these record deals that these record companies give. One called a 360 deal, which means they get some of every dime you make for everything that you do. And it wasn't like that at first when it came to getting a contract with the record industry. So study about the industry and learn about promotions and marketing and sales and management so you can have a better idea of the business before you enter into it.
I like that. And I want to thank Kenny Ing for submitting that question.
Me too. Great question, Kenny. Thanks a lot.
Now, my next question to you is, was there ever an artist that you wish that you could have taken on and worked with? Because I know you kept a busy staff and stuff as far as what you had to handle.
Well, in particular, I used to work for Teddy Pendergrass as Teddy's road secretary, but I wish that I had worked for him longer in another capacity. When he got this new manager that was managing him, the manager didn't feel like he needed a road secretary, and so that kind of like ended my stay with Teddy as his road secretary. But I still continue to do other things for him. But I would have done much more with Teddy had I had the opportunity to. But we remained friends for 30-some years, and I still winded up doing some work for him anyway.
That's not bad at all. Now, in your book, you talk about your family life. Not too many people, are able to express that or want to share that with the world. But you did. You want to touch on that a little?
Well, yeah, I grew up, in the projects, in Washington, D.C., in this area that they call Barry Farms, which is still a notorious project. But growing up in the project, really wasn't the worst thing for us because, we had yard contests for everybody's yard. We grew flowers. The kids, we had, like, parades. Like, I twirled the baton. My brother, was in the band. We performed for people at St. Elizabeth's Hospital because the hospital was right next to the property where we lived in Barry Farms. Our family, we had to get, like, the American cheese, from the welfare department, and we had, like, the peanut butter. But that cheese was really good. We had a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches, and, we were in poverty, but we didn't act like we were in poverty. We kept ourselves clean. We washed up, we took baths, we dressed the best way that we could, and everybody act as one big family. We didn't have a lot of fights. It was no killing. It was no drugs because everybody valued each other and everybody valued each other's life. And that's really the way it should be today. It's not like that. Everybody is so divided. Everybody want to be so hard and so tough. And what is that? The road to that is death or imprisonment. Your life means so much more to that. And I learned that by growing up in the projects. We stuck together. We looked out for each other. We're like a surrogate family. So if somebody was hungry, the next person was going to give them something to eat. If we saw somebody doing something wrong, we're going to, discipline that person and take the person home to the parent. It was never no trouble. So I think, we need more of that. And so, they had like bootleggers that sold alcohol and number backers. But you know what I learned from that? I learned entrepreneurship. Because when people were to run the numbers, they would come to your house and you would give them money. You play your number, your 3-way number, your 4-way number. So whatever horses come out at the racetrack, that's how the number backer came up with, with the numbers. And if you had given him that number on your slip, you got paid for it. Well, that's the D.C. lottery. That's the Maryland lottery. That's the New York lottery.
All right.
We learned then and there that a lot of things, that was done then that was illegal is now legal.
How about that?
And so, you can come from working in the streets and you can take that thing to somewhere else. If you feel like you can get out on that corner and twirl drugs and do all that kind of stuff that has no good future for you, you can be an accountant, you can sell cars, you can sell homes, you can do a lot.
I like that. And we have another question coming through on the console. The $1 Million asked, how has streaming affected the artist's bottom line?
Well, actually, artists are making more money because they can get money from streaming because that's another platform for artists' music to be exposed to the public. So it's a good thing. Everything is two sides to every story. Everything is is a two-edged sword. It's the good, it's the bad. You know what I'm saying? So whichever one weigh the most is the one that's more to your benefit. So from the artists, they losing money on one hand, but they had never got money from streaming prior to that. So that's just another revenue stream.
I like that. I like that. Now, also in your book, you have a lot of artists that you have worked with that some people might not even know or really understand. Like, wow, she really did. Like, you work with Dougie Fresh, you work with Salt and Pepper, you work with Clarence Carter. I said, wait a minute. No, she did not, Mr. I'm Stroking. Lord have mercy. Every artist that I've seen in your book, as soon as you say their name, that song that was a hit always comes to mind.
And most of those artists, you know, I did work the product, and they did have hit records. You know, Just Ice, he was from New York. He had out a hit record. He was on Sleeping Bag Records. You know, Mantronics, they did a lot of electronic music. You know, they were from out of New York. They were with Sleeping Bag Records. But then, you know, I worked with Curtis Mayfield. That's a legend.
All
He
right.
had his own record company. And I worked with Smokey Robinson when he was with the major label. You know, H-Town, they were on Luke's label. D-Train, that's now on XM Radio. I mean, I worked with Will Smith.
All right.
You know, when he had his group out, I worked with that group. So I work with a lot of different artists in the record business because I was working for a record distributor. So certain formats of music, they would give to me to work. Alternative music, they would give it to this white boy to work alternative stations. So it depended on the format of the music had to do with the records that I was, you know, promoting at radio. So it was all mixed up. I worked go-go music as well, EU, Red Essence, and the list goes on.
All right, Miss Linda, that is what I'm talking about. Now, I have a question for you. Since you've been around music so much, is there any one of the songs that like stick to you? You know, like when you hear it, it's like, that's my song right there, because we all have certain songs that we love. Which one do you have that's your song?
Well, you know, there's a lot of them, but I'm going to name Dougie Fresh, and Lottie Dottie, and the show. The show and Lottie Dottie was a two-sided hit. It was a record. It was an A side of the record. It was a B side of the record, and they were one of the only groups that ever had a two-sided hit. So I love those records because today they still play on radio. I love Salt and Pepper, Push It. You know, those are my girls. They're like my surrogate daughters. I love hearing their music, and of course I love Love and Happiness about Al Green because he wrote that song about us because I dated him for many years, and I even worked with him on the road. And Love and Happiness was from a phone conversation he and I were having like 3 o'clock in the morning.
All right, girl.
Love and what did he think about me, and he was like, I feel good about you. And during the course of the conversation, he invited me to Memphis, Tennessee, so I flew there that night, and we flew there that afternoon. We went in the recording studio that night, and you know, he wrote the song. You know, something's going on, someone's on the phone 3 o'clock in the morning talking about how she can make it right. You really feel good about somebody. It's nothing wrong with being in love with someone. Love and Happiness, and so I was sitting right there. So, you know, that's my all-time favorite song because I contribute that song to our relationship.
Okay.
So, you know, that was a beautiful thing.
Now, you know something? Almost every song that you've named, they're called classics, but really, if you were to see them do it now, it's just as good as the first time. I wasn't there probably when they made some of those songs, like, you know, back in the days, but whenever you see them now, like Dougie Fresh is still performing, and I'm gonna tell you, Miss Linda, the show that he does, oh my God, I've never seen so many people lose their minds. It's like, if you don't mind me saying, it's like if Michael Jackson was in the room with him. You hear what I'm saying?
I feel it.
The women,
you know, I mean, I've been to a million shows, and like he said in the very beginning, he called himself the greatest entertainer.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what himself, and the greatest entertainer he is. He has developed into.
Yes, I will say that no matter where he goes, because we moved to another part of the country, and so you're thinking, oh, you know, they're not going to remember who Dougie Fresh is, but he came and he turned it out. Do you hear me? I saw people crying. I saw people falling out. I said, what? And you know what? Where is my video camera right now?
Because you know what? Practice makes perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and Dougie has done like a million shows. Dougie can do those shows with his eyes closed. That's how talented he is. But then it also, so Salt and Pepper. The same, you go see a Salt and Pepper show, girl, it's like they were back in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, when they were really, really rocking the house. So it all goes to show you that when you have clean lyrics and you telling a good story, your music can become classic as well. But if you want to put out about all of this other stuff that these kids are talking about, that's not longevity. And you want longevity with your music. You want your music to be able to play on the radio like Dougie's song has been playing for like over 20-some years. Al Green's song been playing for like over 40 years. You want classics because you can always collect a check. But if you're going to put some trash out there about, sex and guns and drugs and a whole lot of stuff that's just not of God, then, don't look for no big success.
See, I brought that up for the simple fact of just like the artists that you have worked with, you are in a lane all your own because you took upon the task of being the first woman to be a great record promoter. I have not heard of any other but you. You understand? And this was when I first heard about your name, like Miss Linda Wills. I was like, I've heard the name, but then just to know that you have this great book out that's available. Let them know where your book is at again, Miss Linda.
You can go to Amazon and get the book. If you go to Amazon and get the book, please in return give me a review and some stars. And you can also get the book online through Barnes and Nobles. You can give me some stars, when you go to Barnes and Noble and a review as well. I also have a website called thegreatrecordpromoter.com. My YouTube is go to YouTube and put in the search The Great Record Promoter, and I have like 3 or 4 videos that's up there. You can like that for me. And I have a Facebook page, The Great Record Promoter at Facebook, and all my information is out there, and you can get in contact me through either of those different ways.
I like that, Miss Linda. And I have another question coming in from the $1 Million. He's saying substance equals longevity. Is that the formula you would advise?
Absolutely. Substance, yes, definitely. If it's good substance, then you can survive in that industry. But if you're gonna put some other stuff out there, it's just gonna die. It's just like a weed. You're gonna have to just pick it up and throw it away and burn it.
Okay, so
but substance is the key.
I agree with you, and I thank you for letting Mr. $1 Million know that he was right on point with that. Now, is there any advice that you can give to an up-and-coming artist that might be listening right now that we haven't touched upon?
Well, yes, for one thing, I would say, read my book. There's some information in there to give you some information about the record industry, how things are run, how some of the artists, conduct themselves. Learn how to interview, because once you become big, everybody's going to want to have a conversation with you. So get in the mirror, practice, what you're going to say. Don't be repetitive and keep saying, well, be prepared, to meet the public,
right,
and learn about the industry before you definitely try to step into it and demand and command some things. You have to know the business first, and try to get yourself a representative, somebody who can represent you at some point in the industry as you go higher.
Okay, so right now you're doing a tour. Is there any places you're going to touch, near the future?
I'm rescheduling for a tour in the winter of the first quarter of the year. So I will give you that information. You can post it up on your site, because I've already done a lot of promotional tours this summer. I did the Congressional Black Caucus. I did attorneys' parties. I did an international book festival at the Miami-Dade College campus in Miami, Florida. I did a book signing at Essence Festival, thanks to Dougie Fresh, at the Convention Center in the bookstore. So the list goes on, but I will keep you abreast of my up-and-coming events.
I like that. Is there any songs today that you would like to listen to, like that just gets to you also? Any of today's songs that you like?
Wow, I'm sure there's some, but I can't think of one off the bat. I really, really can't, because I listen to a lot of R&B music.
Right.
You know, old school classic R&B. But I like a lot of artists. I mean, I like Beyonce and you know, I like Alicia Keys and a lot of Adele. A lot of these other artists that are out here, I think they're doing pretty good. They're you know, awesome artists.
Also, I would like to say, I noticed like in your book that most of the people that you have come across and worked with, they stay true to you after you finish working with them. It's like you built a good relationship with your artists and the people that you touched in their lifetime career. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, you know, I've built a relationship with the artists that I've worked with. A lot of, you know, they've gone forward. They live in different cities and towns and counties, and I don't see them. But when I do, it's always a welcome because they really appreciate, you know, the hard work that I put into, you know, working their products to help make them successful artists and superstars, and to help make their records go from a regular record to a hit record. So I have established a good relationship and rapport with most of the artists. I see Salt and Pepper on occasion is always, you know, welcome on. The same thing with Dougie Fresh, the same thing with Roy Ayers, you know, who I love, because he gave me an opportunity to work his record first. So working his product was my first opportunity to work as a record promoter.
Now, here's the deal. I spoke to you about all the artists and everything else in the industry. What advice do you have for that up-and-coming promoter? You see, because we got a whole lot of them out there that want to be, but don't know how to be. Any advice for them?
Yes, they need to read my book, because my book tells you how to promote a record. You know, a record promoter has to establish a relationship with radio, and you also have to be like out there in the street, you know, working underground, as you all already know, making mixtapes, you know, going into the clubs, getting the DJs to play the records for you. But also you need to go to these radio stations, whether it's a P1 station. A P1 station is a major station. A P2 station is like a college station, an alternative station. Work the radio stations. Go in there, find out who the program directors are. Find out, you know, what format of music they play, and find a way to get your record played on radio, because mainstream radio is still key in making a record a hit record.
I like that, Miss Linda. Is there anyone that you would like to shout out to or say hello to before we wrap up our interview with you?
Well, I would like to shout out to you and Kareem, you know, for inviting me to do the interview on the show. And I would like to shout out to everybody, you know, that's in the internet land that's listening to this interview, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just finished interviewing the great record promoter, Linda Wills. Thank you so much for coming through. And I hope you have a great new year.
Thank you. The same. Good
All
night.
right. Thanks. Off of Superstar DU Management / Records, we are in the building 2016. Watch the new things that we will bring. Shouts out once again to Miss Linda Wills, the great record promoter in the building. But listen, I want to thank all of y'all that tuned in. And I want to thank y'all that might be listening to the podcast right now. And I hope that you take the interview that you've just heard and spread it out. Send it to somebody that might be in the industry that don't think you pay attention to what they're doing. Show that support. Her book might as well be called The Blueprint. Yeah, but we're going to call it the Miss Linda Imprint. Imprint. That means that her book leaves something right there for you to see. And that's that good right there that y'all not going to get no place else. And where can you find somebody that's going to let y'all step into my... You remember that song, Come Into My Life? I got so much to show you. That is Miss Wills right there. She invited all of us into her life. And for that, I want to say thank you to her for doing what she did. Now, let that be a lesson for those of you who are in the business trying to get it in. And to the artists that are out there writing, get your bars up, baby, because this industry is busy. Just because you want to rap, don't think that you are a real rapper. that will not have to be challenged sometimes. Stay in your books, learn your craft. She gave y'all all that information. You know what? I wish that I could be right there in the building when she was doing all that stuff. Can y'all imagine how she just walked into the room and she talked what she had to say and she got records heard? That's a gift right there, because most people don't have that knack to do it. Most people walk into the room and everybody start turning their heads like, oh yeah, That's a skill right there. And if you guys that are promoting out there can get close to that, you never know where it may lead you.